Hey guys, welcome back to our Houston Texans franchise in Madden 2003. Today we've got the stats and awards and Pro Bowlers and all that good stuff. So let's get right into it. Here's a look at our coach. They want us to take it one game at a time and keep our focus during the playoffs. And Matt Hasselbeck had 144 rating this season. We're going to look at the team stats before we jump into the league leaders. Carson Palmer, 3,101 yards passing, 112 rating, 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. The only knock I have on him right now in his young career is he needs to stay healthy and play a full 16-game schedule. If he can do that, I will be really impressed with him. Sacked 21 times this season. He definitely improved from last year after missing 6 games, I believe. He had 1,895 passing yards and 20 touchdowns last season with 121.1 QBR. He's got a 98 throw power and an 85 throw accuracy. I'm hoping with the great year he had this season, his accuracy will go up. He's only had 10 interceptions in his entire career, 42 touchdowns, and a 60% completion percentage. Not bad. Larry Johnson ran for 1,620 yards this season with 22 touchdowns. He beat both of his marks last year, 1,427 yards and 14 touchdowns on less attempts, 243 this year. And he only had 1 fumble, and that came last game against the Oakland Raiders where he got injured. So only 4 fumbles in his career. He had 3 last season. Longest rush was 88 yards. I believe that was against the Colts. He also had 436 receiving yards this season on 27 receptions with a 16.1 yard average per catch, 4 touchdowns. So we had 26 total touchdowns this season, and I believe that will get him into the top 5 of the MVP race. I would hope so, and I'm hoping he wins it. We'll see that later on in this video. Carson Palmer fumbled the ball 7 times this season. Willie Simmons, his only carry, his only play in his whole career was a fumble on a 4th down attempt. Larry Johnson, 120 broken tackles this year, 648 yards after first contact, 14 runs of 20 yards or more. Billy Miller led the team in receptions, 44 this season. He had 3 touchdowns, 564 yards. We need a number 1 go-to guy, and none of the receivers on this team are the answer. Sammy Parker had a great season. We signed him later in the year. Desmond Clark, 2 touchdowns on 5 receptions for 74 yards, backup tight end. Bryant Johnson led the team with in touchdowns with 5. So did Jabbar Gaffney, but they both have been regressing. Jabbar Gaffney has regressed every single season with us, and I don't know how much longer he's going to be on the roster. But Bryant Johnson, 3 touchdowns less this year than he had last year. And look at Gaffney's stats here, 70 receptions for 1,381 yards his rookie year. And then he dropped down to 51 receptions to 893 yards, with 8 touchdowns. And he dropped even more this season. So he is definitely not the answer for the number 1 receiver spot. I don't think Bryant Johnson is either. And I'm hoping without having a number 1 elite receiver, we could still make it deep into the playoffs. But I don't see Jabbar Gaffney and Bryant Johnson doing too well against the likes of Edy Reed in Baltimore Ravens. Their defense is just amazing. And we got a pass last year against them in the playoffs. Edy Reed was injured. This year he is not. Their entire defense is healthy. I don't think they have any injuries. So I'm hoping we don't have to play them in the playoffs, because that'd be a really rough game for us. They bounced us out of the playoffs last year. Let's take a look at the defensive stats for the Texans. Sean Taylor led the team in tackles with 98. Not bad for the rookie. Rodney Harrison had 72 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and 1 pick this year. Going back to Sean Taylor, he had 3 tackles for loss and 2 interceptions as well. 1 return for a touchdown. Jimmy Henderson, 63 tackles. He was a great free agent acquisition, but he did get exposed against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Sean McDonald just took him to school in our 2 matchups. DJ Williams, 46 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, and 2 picks. Not bad. Another great rookie season. I did user him all year. Will Smith had 3 sacks on the right end spot. Mo Sykes, 13 tackles, all on special teams, I believe. He led the special teams in tackles this year. Landon Johnson had 12 tackles, 4 tackles for a loss. Kedrick Clancy, defensive tackle. He had 4 sacks for us this year. Big Sam Adams had 2 sacks. Dante Robinson got an interception this season. Kylie Wong, only 4 tackles. I don't believe he will be on our roster going forward after this season is concluded. Jamie Sharper, 11 tackles for a loss. Marcus Washington with 7. They both had 51 tackles on the season. And Marcus Washington was a great free agent acquisition for us. He also had 4 sacks and an interception. DJ Williams, 6 tackles for a loss. Landon Johnson, 12 tackles, 4 of them for a loss. He played great in the short amount of time that he did get on the field. Jamie Henderson also had 4 tackles for a loss. Sean Taylor had 3 tackles for a loss, and he is up for the Rookie of the Year award. There's a lot of great players on that list. We'll also see that later on in the video. Corey Redding had 2 tackles for a loss. He also had 9 sacks. He was very close to getting double digits, and that would have been the first time in Texans history. But he does have the franchise record for sacks in a year with 9. It was a great season for him. We need to get a little bit more pressure on the quarterbacks, though, especially Jacksonville, going forward with that dangerous passing attack. Kendrick Clancy had 4 sacks. Marcus Washington with 4. Will Smith, the rookie out of Ohio State, he had 3. Sam Adams had 2. And Corey Redding, he had 3 sacks last season with 16 tackles. He has less tackles this year, but 6 more sacks. He's got 12 sacks in his career, and that's not bad. Most sacks in Texans franchise history so far. I'll take that, but we need to get some more pressure up front and get a little bit younger on the defensive tackle spot. Because Kendrick Clancy, he's 25, he's young, but Sam Adams, he is not. Sam Adams will be 32 next season, so we might have to look in free agency or the draft for another defensive tackle to fill in for him, because he is not getting any younger. You can see his stats are declining. 11 tackles, 2 sacks this season. Rondale Whitaker had his first career sack this year. He had a pick and 1 tackle for a loss. Gary Walker, 1 tackle on the season, 1 sack. He will not be with us next year. Jamie Henderson led the team in interceptions with 6, although he did have 7. He was not credited for 1 that he caught pretty much off of the ground. So I'm going to give him 7. He gets credit for 7 with me. Charles Tillman, we acquired him in a trade with the Carolina Panthers. He had 3 interceptions for us this year, along with 60 tackles, which is 25 more than he had with Carolina his rookie year. He did have 3 sacks in his rookie season, none with us. No forced fumbles, no fumbles recovered. Jamie Sharper, 2 interceptions on the year. DJ Williams, 2 picks in his rookie season. Sean Taylor with 2 picks. An interesting fact about DJ Williams, in real life, he only had 2 career interceptions, and in this universe, he's already got 2, so he's matched that number. So I look forward to seeing how many more he can get in his career. Jamie Henderson had 93 yards on interception returns. Sean Taylor with 42. DJ Williams, 27. Marcus Washington, 27. Longest interception return on the year was Jamie Henderson with a 45-yarder. Charles Tillman and Henderson both had 21 deflections on the season. Rodney Harrison with 10. Marcus Washington with 9. And nobody else had more than 5. Sean Taylor, 3 forced fumbles in his rookie debut. Corey Redding with 1. Kylie Wong forced 1, which was recovered by Sean Taylor on a kickoff and returned for a touchdown. One of Sean Taylor's 2 touchdowns on the season. Only 5 fumbles recovered by our defense this year, and I think we need to get that number up a little bit. Not enough takeaways this season. DJ Williams had a 32-yard fumble return this season. That was an exciting play. 3 defensive touchdowns, 2 for Taylor, 1 for Henderson. Max DePace, 21 of 24. Last year he missed 7 field goals, going 18 of 25 for 72%. He improved that number to 87% this season. No missed extra points for him still in his career. He was also the punter this year as well. We did have a rookie punter on our roster, but he was not very good. The paces overall was about 10 better than his. We had a couple kick returns for touchdowns this season and a couple punt returns from Sammy Parker. Now let's get into the league-leading stats. Quarterback rating, Carson Palmer was number 1 with 112 rating. Kurt Warner was behind him in second with 97.9. Let's take a look at the passing yards leaders. Kurt Warner, 4,187 yards. He had 29 touchdowns, 16 picks. I'm only going to show you guys pretty much 3,000 yards and over. We're not going to get too crazy into these stats. I'll show you guys who threw 20 touchdowns or more in a season as well. There's Phillip Rivers, rookie quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs. Threw for over 3,300 yards, 22 touchdowns, 20 picks. Cordell Stewart threw 25 interceptions this year. There's Carson Palmer and his great numbers. David Carr, 20 touchdowns, 18 picks. And Mike Vick almost threw for 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns. Brett Favre led the league with 30 touchdown passes, 17 picks for the season. Kurt Warner, 29. Peyton Manning, 28. Tim Couch, 25 touchdowns, only 16 picks. Another great stat line this season was Donovan McNabb. You'll see him in a second. 22 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Good for a 96.7 QBR. And Rex Grossman only threw 5 picks on the year. Eli Manning, however, threw 27 for the Carolina Panthers. Not a great season for the rookie out of Ole Miss. Cordell Stewart, 25 picks. Sage Rosenfels, 21 interceptions. A lot of guys threw 20 picks this season. Cliff Kingsbury, starting quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks, threw 19 interceptions. Kurt Warner had the best completion percentage at 68. Carson Palmer only sacked 21 times this season. That is 5th best in the NFL. And that is why we got those stud offensive linemen. And let's move right into the rushing stats after we take a look at the longest pass in the league this year. Carson Palmer with an 84-yarder. Corey Dillon led the NFL in rushing yards, 1,929 yards, 16 touchdowns. Edgerrin James ran for 1,811 yards and 16 touchdowns. William Green for the Browns ran for over 1,400 yards. And look at the average yards per run for all of these players, over 4. Mike Vick, however, averaged 10.5 yards per carry. He ran for over 1,100 yards with 5 touchdowns. LeBrandon Tofield, a rookie running back, also had 1,000 yards. I believe he's the only rookie to rush for over 1,000. Mike Allstott, 1,010 yards rushing for the big fullback. Jerome Bettis, 8 yards shy of 1,000. Larry Johnson had the most rushing touchdowns. He had 22. That was 6 more than the next best, which was Edgerrin James and Corey Dillon, both having 16. Ricky Williams had 15 touchdowns. Curtis Martin with 14. Jamal Lewis with 13. Deshaun Foster had 12. Charlie Garner, veteran halfback, had 10. Not a whole lot of players had double-digit rushing touchdown numbers. Randy Moss led the league with 96 receptions, 1,667 yards, and 16 touchdowns. And we're going to look at Randy Moss's career stats later on in the video. They are just ridiculous. Jason Witten, rookie Pro Bowl tight end out of Tennessee for the Detroit Lions, had 89 receptions for 628 yards and 3 touchdowns. Bernard Berrian, 82 receptions, 1,058 yards, 5 touchdowns. Not a lot of guys had double-digit receiving touchdowns this season as well. There's Donald Lee, former Mississippi State Bulldog tight end, had 80 receptions, 4 touchdowns, over 500 yards. Reggie Wayne almost had 1,000 yards this season. Trying to look for rookies here. Charles Rogers, 70 receptions. And Randy Moss led the league in receiving yards by over 300. Next closest was Marvin Harrison at 1,314 yards. There's Rod Gardner. Antoine Savage, young player for the Atlanta Falcons, had 1,132 receiving yards, 8 touchdowns. Eric Moulds had 60 receptions, 1,083 yards, and 6 touchdowns. That was an 18-yard average per catch. That's insane. Isaac Bruce, Kevin Johnson, Bernard Berrien, Keyshawn Johnson, Reggie Williams for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He had a monster year for a rookie. Freddie Mitchell, Todd Pinkston, and that is it for the 1,000-yard receivers. Let's take a look at the touchdowns. Randy Moss had 16. Kevin Johnson had 13 for the Cleveland Browns. Marvin Harrison had 11. And here's a look at Randy Moss's career stats. He's already hit 10,000 receiving yards, 584 receptions, 17.3 average. Just insane numbers for one of the best players in NFL history. 93 touchdowns already. And we're only in the year 2004 right now. He is 27 years old, and at this pace, it looks like he's going to break all of Jerry Rice's records. Charles Rogers, 10 touchdowns. Torrey Holt with 10. Javon Walker with 10 as well, and that's it for double-digit touchdowns. Moss is the only receiver to average over 100 yards per game. Roy Williams, second-year wide receiver out of Texas, had 9 drops that led the league for the Dallas Cowboys. Keyshawn Johnson also had 9. Longest reception was Bryant Johnson with an 84-yarder. A lot of long passes. And I'm not going to get into the offensive lineman stats because there's no way I can make our team's stats realistic for that one. Takeo Spikes led the league with 173 tackles. That's insane. Junior Seau, he had a monster year. We're going to look at his stats later on too. Sean Taylor led our team with 98 tackles. He's so close to getting 100. And there he is right there. 6'3", 220-pound rookie, 20 years old. Ryan Sims led the league in tackles for a loss with 19. Next closest was 15. That was a 3-way tie between Porsche, Rudd, and Washington. Junior Seau, 114 tackles, 14 tackles for a loss, 10 sacks, 3 interceptions, and wait until you see his forced fumbles and fumble recovery stats. I mean, just insane numbers. Dwayne White, rookie for the Dallas Cowboys, had 12 sacks as a rookie. Ridiculous. Akbar Baha Biamia, he had 8 sacks. A lot of players had double-digit sacks this season. Jason Taylor, Donnie Edwards, Reggie Hayward, Takeo Spikes, who had ridiculous numbers. And let's take a look at the sacks. Robert Porsche and Ryan Sims both had 16. They led the league. And there's Dwayne White, the rookie. Ray Lewis had 11 as a middle linebacker. That's incredible. Ted Washington, old defensive tackle, had 11 sacks. Hugh Douglas, there's Junior Seau, Keith Newman, Justin Smith, Pisa Tinuisamoa, he had 9. And there's Corey Redding with his 9 sacks. Interceptions, Edy Reed had 15, Champ Bailey 13, Charles Woodson 11. Edy Reed already has 25 picks in 3 seasons. He also has 22 sacks as a safety. Just unbelievable. Champ Bailey, 37 interceptions for his career. And Charles Woodson, the last 3 seasons alone, he had 36 interceptions. He's got 47 for his young career. Just outstanding numbers. Ty Law had 9. Champ Bailey, 195 interception return yards. We need stats like that for our defense. with the amount of talent that we have in the secondary. Longest interception return, 89-yarder. Edy Reed also led the league with 27 pass deflections. Charles Wilson had 24. And Charles Tillman, Jimmy Henderson, they were right there with 21. And there's Champ Bailey with 19. Donnie Abraham, cornerback for the New York Jets, had 9 forced fumbles. He also had 6 interceptions and 62 tackles, 14 pass deflections, and 3 fumbles recovered. And that is definitely a Pro Bowl worthy performance, and he did get into the Pro Bowl with those stats. And there's Junior Seau, 6 forced fumbles. Champ Bailey had 4 forced fumbles, my goodness. David Carr recovered 5 fumbles, and you will see why in a second, because he fumbled the ball a lot this season. 15 fumbles by David Carr. And he's considered a scrambling quarterback with a 58 speed. Not sure how that calculates to a scrambling quarterback, but whatever. He's not on our team anymore, so I don't care. 95 fumble return yards for Brady James, second-year linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Chad Barney, rookie out of BYU, had 2 blocks for the New Orleans Saints. A lot of safeties this year. Stuart Schweigert out of Purdue had a safety. Champ Bailey with 3 defensive touchdowns that led the league. A lot of players with 2. Samari Rolle, Bobby Taylor, Roy Williams, Anthony Henry, Deltha O'Neal, who was injured for this season. And there's Sean Taylor. Cato June had a touchdown. And let's get into the kicking stats. Max DePace, he had 87 field goal percentage this season, and shockingly and very disrespectfully was not included in the top 5 list for best kicker, not even in the AFC. And that is straight disrespect. Brett Conway had 2 field goals blocked on the season. There was 6 total field goals blocked on the year. And there was also 5 extra points blocked. Josh Scobie had 1 blocked, rookie for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Matt McBride led the league, with 104 punts for the Dallas Cowboys. 0 blocks too. Nate Fix had 2 punts blocked, and so did Damon Duvall for the Saints. Matt McBride, 39 punts inside the 20. Longest punt on the season was Matt Turk, an 89-yarder. Ridiculous. That's just an insane number for a punt. And there was actually 4 punts over 80 yards. Kick return yard leader was Bernard Berrien, over 1,600 kick return yards. Bunch of guys over 1,000. That just means their defense is not doing a good job. 3 players had 2 touchdowns on kick returns. Bob Sanders, Terry Fair, and Deltha O'Neal. A lot of players had 1 touchdown return. Tim Carter, 3 returns, 182 yards and 1 touchdown. Insane. And now onto the punt return yarders is Eric Coleman. He led the league with 705 yards returned. 4 players had 2 touchdown returns. Sammy Parker, Ernest Graham, Bernard Berrien, and Jermaine Lewis, who used to be on the Houston Texans. Well, we let him go. A lot of players had 1 punt return for a touchdown. And that is going to do it for the league leading stats. We're going to get right into the Pro Bowl voting, and then we will get into the awards. So here's the AFC Pro Bowl team. Carson Palmer is the starting quarterback. Peyton Manning is second. Tom Brady third. Larry Johnson is the number 1 halfback. After him is Corey Dillon and Edgerrin James. All of these just great players. Anthony Pinnock for the Browns, fullback. Like Anderson for the Broncos. And Reggie Williams, rookie receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars, made it on there. Tony Gonzalez, Daniel Graham, Todd Heap, and not an offensive lineman in sight from the Texans, because it's impossible to get the pancake numbers up there and compete with the computer. Junior Seau, monster season for him. Takeo Spikes, 173 tackles. Ray Lewis, number 1 middle linebacker. And Nail Harris, second. Donnie Abraham, no surprise there, is the number 1 corner. Shocking to me that Charles Woodson was the number 3 on the cornerback list. Sean Taylor makes the Pro Bowl as the backup strong safety after a great rookie season. No Pro Bowl for Max DePace. No Pro Bowl for Terry Fair or Sandy Parker. And a look at the NFC. Kurt Warner, Brett Favre, Donovan McNabb, Amon Green, Stephen Davis, Sean Alexander, Randy Moss, no shock there. He had over 30,000 more votes than Rod Gardner just about. Antoine Savage, second-year receiver for the Falcons, made it in there. A lot of these linemen allowed a lot of sacks. Our linemen did not allow a whole lot. And you would think that that alone would get some of our linemen in there. Grant Wistrom, Chris Hoven, Ted Washington, Fred Robbins, Tommy Polley, Reynolds Smith for the Vikings, young linebacker. Ronald McKinnon for the Cardinals beats out Brian Urlacher by 2,000 votes. Champ Bailey, Aaron Glenn, who was on our team, we traded him away, and he is now on the Falcons. He made the Pro Bowl, good for him, but he gets to go and take on Brett Favre in the first round of the playoffs this season. Good luck to him on that one, because it's in Lambeau Field. Roy Williams, Kwame Lassiter, Victor Green makes the Pro Bowl, another former Texan. It's kind of shocking, he's up there in age. And the MVP award goes to Edy Reed after a 15 interception season. He had 162 tackles to go along with it. He had a bunch of sacks as well. Just monster numbers from the safety spot. Larry Johnson gets second. Edgerrin James gets third. Corey Dillon fourth. And Randy Moss gets fifth place. So not one quarterback on the MVP list. What do you guys think of that decision to give Edy Reed the MVP over Larry Johnson, who had 26 total touchdowns on the year and over 1,600 rushing yards? He did win Offensive Player of the Year, though. A lot of familiar names on there. Ricky Williams gets fifth for that. But Defensive Player gets the MVP on this season. And there's another award there for Edy Reed. Any other year, Junior Seau would have won this award. He had ridiculous stats as well. 10 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 3 interceptions, a bunch of fumble recoveries. He carried a very bad Chargers team that finished 7-9 on the year. They are in the playoffs, but that division is so weak. Reggie Williams gets Offensive Rookie of the Year for the NFL. Brandon Tofield, halfback for the Cardinals, got second. He ran for over 1,000 yards. Phillip Rivers got third. Sean McDonald, fourth. So they had 2 Jaguars receivers on there. There's Frank Gore, rookie running back for the San Francisco 49ers. He had 738 yards and 4 touchdowns. Derek Johnson wins Defensive Rookie of the Year for the NFL. 117 tackles, 9 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 1 interception. He beats out Sean Taylor. And I believe Sean Taylor should have had a lot more interceptions this year. I was expecting a little bit more from him. But still a great season nonetheless, and I'm looking forward to his second year. Teddy Lehman, rookie out of Oklahoma, got 5th place. Andy Stump wins NFL Coach of the Year after leading the Texans to a 12-4 record, which is the best record in Texans history so far. Ryan Billick got 2nd at 13-3 with the Baltimore Ravens. Bill Belichick got 3rd. Edy Reed 4th, and Mike Tice and the Minnesota Vikings get 5th place at 10-6. Best quarterback is won by Mike Vick, which is very shocking to me. His quarterback rating was 70.4. He didn't throw for 3,000 yards. He had 18 interceptions to go along with 20 touchdowns. He did run for over 1,100 yards, but I don't know what that has to do with throwing the ball. I believe Donovan McNabb should have won that. He had 22 touchdowns, 8 picks. Or Carson Palmer. I'm not sure how they really judge that award. Larry Johnson obviously won the best running back. Same names on there. Jamal Lewis got 5th for the Ravens. 1,387 yards, 13 touchdowns. Great year for him. Randy Moss, best wide receiver. No shock there. Best offensive lineman, a couple Ravens, couple Patriots, and Kevin Mawai from the New York Jets gets 5th. Jets finish the season 9-7. Best defensive lineman, Chris Hovan wins that. Defensive tackle had 10 sacks. Robert Porsche, who had 16 sacks, and Ryan Sims, who also had 16, did not win it. Junior Seau, best linebacker. I'm not surprised. He's definitely deserving of that. One of the greatest linebackers in NFL history. Ridiculous numbers. 12 deflections, 6 forced fumbles, 2 recovered, 3 interceptions, 10 sacks, over 100 tackles. What a year. Junior Seau had more tackles than Jamie Sharper and Marcus Washington had combined for the Texans this year. And no surprise, Edy Reed wins best defensive back. Donnie Abraham gets 3rd with 9 forced fumbles. Orlando Mare wins best kicker, and you'll see here, no max to pace whatsoever. He only missed 3 field goals on the entire season. And Orlando Mare, who missed an extra point and 3 field goals on the year, wins the award. I don't understand it. And that is it for the awards for the NFL. We'll go into the AFC. Pretty much the same people winning the awards. The only difference is Carson Palmer wins the AFC Best Quarterback of the Year award. He led the Texans to a 12-4 record. And Mike Vick still won the NFC and the NFL. I don't get it. Best running back, Larry Johnson. Best wide receiver, Kevin Johnson. Best defensive line, linebacker. Best kicker, see, no max to pace. Disrespectful. And let's get into the wild card round. The Patriots beat the Colts 31-12. They will advance to the second round. And the Falcons get destroyed by Brett Favre and the Packers 41-20 in Lambeau Field. And the Browns taking on the 7-9 Chargers, and the Chargers pull off the win 21-6. Browns now out of the playoffs. Vikings taking on the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers win that one 27-3. So let's move on to the divisional round and see who we will be playing next week in our playoff game this season. So this is the divisional round. San Diego traveling to Baltimore, take on the 13-3 Ravens. Buccaneers taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. And we will be taking on the New England Patriots in the divisional round. We played them last year in the playoffs and beat them. We would then go on to lose to the Baltimore Ravens. The Packers take on the Rams. And that is it for the divisional round. Let me know in the comments section below what you guys thought of all these stats, the awards, the playoff matchups, and what you think will be the outcome of our game against the New England Patriots. I'll see you guys in the comments section below. Take it easy, guys.